What is up, traders, and welcome back to another video. And this live today we'll be looking to trade NVIDIA live, and currently we are in the position we entered at around 140, and we are looking to average into the position where $1 in the money, but we'd like for NVIDIA to pull back a little bit more towards intraday VWAPs around 140 and try to average in DCA into the position again, which I believe NVIDIA has possibility to achieve the next pivot point, which would be our next price target, right? So it's just a matter of time to see if it works. The next, let's see. But yeah, overall the market is up, not bad. It's up more than a half of 0.5, and yeah, it's looking extremely bullish. We're above the 50, above the intraday VWAP. There's actually a trend structure. We're seeing higher lows, higher highs, and higher highs, confirming that the trend is towards the upside. I believe we had the JOLTS job openings, and that kind of helped spike the market a little bit. They came in higher, showing still a strong labor market, and it's important to note that, right? Especially now with fears, that investors are, pretty uncertain about the future, right? Especially with all this indecision that's been happening with tariffs and, these random news that just come out. It's kind of hard to predict the future behavior of possible investment, and that's why we're seeing this increase in volatility in the market, basically. But yeah, overall, we can look at the VIX, right, to kind of get a gauge on the volatility. It's declined heavily. Look at it on a daily, kind of give a more of a perspective on this. But yeah, we are nothing close to what we saw during April. April was a pretty tough month for the overall market, especially the Nasdaq. We saw volatility increase and the stocks decline, and now we're starting to see the volatility declining, and stocks starting to see that bounce that we had, especially in the overall SPY and triple Q. So it's quite nice to see slowly starting to recover. There's been word on Wall Street about the taco trade, right, which just represents Trump always chickens out trade, right? So usually Trump comes with pretty aggressive moves and suggestive here, but let's say we're having some issues with the camera. I'll get to fix that real quick. Alright, looks like we're back. We're live. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. A little interruption in the camera. But yeah, like I was saying, the VIX is heavily declined, which is nice to see, especially now in the markets. And some of these names are bouncing and looking really bullish on the daily. For example, here Palantir, right? It's just an absolute monster. During April, it did fall all the way to $60, and we're at 131. So we're back above key indicators of resistance. We were now above the 50 and above the swing high anchored VWAP, which is quite nice to see. NVIDIA is looking quite nice. I am really bullish on this name, especially after the earnings. I think most investors were pretty much waiting for those earnings to come and kind of gauge what if there's still demand for AI, and if it isn't just like a tech bubble, right, that we saw in earlier years, right? So the reason as to why I'm bullish on NVIDIA is simply because we are now above the 50 EMA. We were below it for quite a while. If we take this off, take this little VWAP off, we were below, right? We had a, right, obviously the nice upward move, and then we started to stall, and then the news came in, right? January slowly started to, kind of shift downwards. So we started to form the overall trend structure of a downside move, which is lower highs and lower lows. We clearly saw that with lower high, lower high, lower high, and lower high, and there'd be lower lows and lower lows. But it was overall invalidated as soon as we broke above this recent lower high, and pretty much it also went above the 50 EMA, right? So this gap up right here shows a bullishness in the name, and as well, still plotting a swing high anchored VWAP, right? We are now above that, and as soon as we got above that, we've only been uptrending from there. So recognizing this kind of shift in momentum, we decided to plot a kind of anchored VWAP that represents new momentum. So we'll call it the breakout anchored VWAP, pretty much. So it's now measuring this momentum. It's important to measure it, right? Because it's like an influx in volume, and we broke above key areas of resistance that were pretty tough to get above. So once we did that, look exactly where we pulled back. We had a nice strong bid, and we pulled back. Buyers saw this opportunity to get in at a discount, pretty much, and they bought it above. We pulled back exactly to it on Friday, and now we're bouncing above it again. So we're seeing nice support at this area. We're above the 50. We're above key indicators that show that the bullish trend is now in NVIDIA, existing regardless of the overall earnings. But the fundamentals are still adding up. Some of the price targets that we have on NVIDIA for a swing trade are going to be the following. So based on Fibonacci retracements, I firmly believe NVIDIA can achieve the level of 194. That is more of a longer term price target. And if there's extreme bullishness, then 260 would be a second price target, which is going to be an overextension of the move that we are having currently in the name here. If you guys don't, have doubts or uncertainty about the validity of this strategy, we can simply go to Netflix. I'm pretty sure you guys have watched my Netflix video that I did, I believe, a month ago or 2 months ago, and with NFLX we were clearly bullish on the name. Pardon me for all this mess here, but allow me to clear this up real quick for you guys. Let's see, clear up. Okay, so during the video we were somewhere around the lines of here, right? And we saw strong support. Previously we said there was going to be buyers around that level, and it's important to note that this intensive volume really kind of signified that there was going to be a shift in the momentum. So what we did was we plotted a swing high anchored VWAP, and it got above it there, and we said we would like to see some couple candles break above and kind of hold the level, which kind of signify the overall trend in the structure, right? So it would kind of help us out, kind of gauge that now, right? So as you can see, I have a little problem with the camera, but we fixed it. So we said, okay, if we see some candles hold above the swing high anchored VWAP, then we can start to shift the momentum now towards the upside, and we use Fibonacci retracements to project the upside from this low, and we clearly stated that we could achieve the all-time highs in the name, and our price target was 1200, and we firmly achieved that, right? So you guys can clearly see that these instruments do work. Technical analysis does work, And yeah, the video's live. I think the video, I posted it around almost a month ago. Just type in for the search bar Netflix, and you guys will clearly see that we anticipated this move right here, which is quite nice to see. But yeah, NVIDIA overall is extremely bullish. I'm projecting 194. Obviously, we can achieve the highs up. My position on the longer term, average price is average around 120, around there as well. And we're looking to take half profits here at around 152 at the highs, obviously, because we always want to, as there's more liquidity at those zones. And yeah, project and hold towards highs of 194, which I firmly believe is possible for the leader in AI currently. And going back to a 5-minute, it's just let's see, pull that. Yeah, okay, still bullish. We're kind of just taking a break, kind of consolidating a little bit, maybe prone for a pullback, right? But it wouldn't surprise me after this intense strength that we saw, right? And let's see, let's go to the daily. So yeah, you guys know kind of like my outlook on NVIDIA. The fundamentals are now supporting it as well. I usually believe that technicals usually tend to come first, and then for some reason, you know, fundamentals follow after that. There's such, you know, like bullish news, and you know, it's kind of, there's needs to be a reason to justify the moves, right? Which is why I believe that, you know, we see a big move and then all of a sudden we see some type of bullish news on an equity, right? But something I'd also like to let you guys know is the Bitcoin analysis, right? You guys know that I'm really a bullish on Bitcoin. I firmly believe in what it has to offer for the future. And yeah, so pretty much an analysis here is that we know we pulled back from those all-time highs that we achieved around 111,000, and now we just pulled back. But during the past 4 days, we've been seeing nothing but green candles. And what I note here is that we've been seeing green candles but with intense lower wicks. And what that signifies to us is that there's been, you know, buyers involved. There's been heavily you know, bids coming up and picking up the prices here, especially on this day. I believe it was June 2nd, Monday, so actually yesterday. But yeah, it's looking bullish, and what I'll like to see is some type of, you know, break above the swing high anchored VWAP, which came around that area. Yeah, so we see like a break, a couple candles holding above it, kind of signifying that the sellers are not able to bring the price back down lower, and you know, see like a breakout candle firmly, you know, closing above and, you know, having those projections. We are above the 50 EMA, which is quite nice, and the 50 EMA is forming confluence, right? It's matching a important level, which Bitcoin kind of took a while to get above, and that's the $100,000 level. You guys can see right here. So the reasoning behind this is pretty strong, and I firmly believe price targets for Bitcoin are going to be the 130K, and extended second price target is going to be 164,000. These are the price targets I firmly believe Bitcoin is possible of achieving currently, although we do not know when, but I'm pretty confident that the price action can achieve those levels of resistance overall. But yeah, Bitcoin is gearing up for the move. Something as well, if Bitcoin does increase, a move that can also be played is going to be Ethereum, which, let's see if I just pull it up. Yeah, Ethereum, as you guys know, was, you know, pretty criticized, and, you know, people who were holding Ethereum during this time, you know, kind of were being made fun of because Bitcoin was, you know, rallying, you know, seeing nice moves, and Ethereum was just, you know, declining and seeing these yeah, lower highs and lower lows, right, below the 50. And people were criticizing it because it was underperforming year to date. I think it was at one point it was down 50% or even more, which is quite hard to see, especially if you're in the name. But there's some relief here as we are now above the 50 EMA. We're holding it quite steady, and plotting the swing high anchored VWAP, we're seeing something quite spectacular, I'd say. So as you guys know, in general, when there's sellers present in a name, we usually get like fake outs, like kind of like fake breaks to the upside, where they capture a lot of liquidity and they get also cheaper prices, or I mean like a better price to short the name, right? If I were looking to be short, I would rather short here, around here, rather than to short here, because I can kind of get more of the move, right? So that's kind of what the thesis is, right? So usually what we see is this, and then we see a strong decline. But now we're seeing something different. We're not seeing the same thing. We're seeing that the buyers are slowly starting to come in. The sellers have been trying to bring the price down below, but the buyers have been strong enough. So it's showing underlying strength, and it's showing that the sellers are starting to lose control slowly of Ethereum. And I firmly believe that Ethereum does have the potential to move higher. We would like to see a decisive break above this range. So currently what we're seeing is this, right? I would love to see a decisive break above this range, like this candle that I studied, and a kind of like a breakout candle that does close above the range, showing that now the momentum is there. And some price targets on Ethereum are going to be the 5,000, around 700. It's $5,700 level, and second price target 8,000, right? So if Bitcoin does achieve close to its all-time highs, and I believe Ethereum will closely follow, and we can have that trade on there. And ideally, how I would be playing the name is through ETHA, and it's going to be through options, right? If we look at this name, it just mirrors exactly Ethereum, and I firmly believe that a break above 21 in this case, we can have an ideal strike price of around 20 with an expiration of around 2 months when the trade triggers. And price targets that I see on is going to be $43 and $63, obviously based on Ethereum. If you guys have any doubt, you guys can always let me know down in the comments, or if you guys want me to do a more detailed analysis of the Ethereum trade, or any trade in general that you guys would like me to analyze, any stock, then I would feel absolutely honored to do so. So just drop them in the comments, and yeah, pretty much that is also my spiel for Ethereum. Another name that I've been seeing kind of trending is CoreWeave, and man, this name is just incredible. I remember when it IPO'd, and I was pretty doubtful of the name, but I pretty much anything that is along the lines of associations with NVIDIA just finds some strong bids, right? And it's kind of funny to see, honestly, here. But analyzing this thing thoroughly, this equity here, since this IPO'd on March, and it's pretty recent, we always tend to like plotting an anchored VWAP at the IPO. So that would be the IPO anchored VWAP, because we kind of get the average price of entry of the participants that are within the long trend. So the average price of entry is 76, so people are well in the money, almost double of what they entered at based on the anchored VWAP IPO. And we were, as we can see, we usually do have on IPOs strong bullish move, and then we kind of fade the moves, we start back, and then we start to see some accumulation, then we start seeing the upwards trend, right? So the bullish entry for CoreWeave was at the break of this swing high anchored VWAP, so at around $53. That was the entry for the name. And assuming that we didn't know that it could achieve certain levels, say we entered at that price, we saw the price action get above it, we simply use Fibonacci retracements and kind of measure the potential move that this name has. And this name is well above its anchored VWAP and overall Fibonacci. Like, we're way overextended, but that just shows the enthusiasm that's present in CoreWeave, right? Man, I've never seen a name that's achieved 3.618% of its retracement move. That is quite astonishing to see. But yeah, the name is, it was bullish. That was the entry at $50. It also pulled back. Also, another entry would have been at 65 as it, pulled back to a key level of Fibonacci's. But yeah, the name is pretty bullish. Now it's up $23 on the day, around 19%. Such a beautiful move, right? Also, looking at Tesla, this name is still bullish. We recently made a video on Tesla and our case. You guys can, feel free to watch the video. It's a little bit more of an in-depth analysis, and also, looking at how the fundamentals kind of sustain our thesis. And yeah, just a mix of everything. You get best of both worlds, fundamentals and technicals mixed together for a bullish case here on Tesla. The reason that I'm bullish, just a quick overview, is that we're above again the swing high anchored VWAP. We're above the 50 EMA, and we're slowly starting to tread up. And we saw a break of 350, and we kind of pulled back, but now we're slowly starting to see hopefully a rebid. What we can do is also, I guess, plot breakout kind of VWAP, and looks exactly where we're finding support there, like that candle from yesterday. So I'm telling you guys, like, this is real stuff that does work. And yeah, we're seeing that bounce. Now it's kind of like NVIDIA. If we look at NVIDIA, like I previously said, from the breakout, we come up and go below a little bit, and we see a strong bid after that. So this is a strong support, and it's probably what's happening here on Tesla as well, right here. So yeah, 340. So I'm still expecting a nice move in Tesla. I believe the fundamentals are adding up, and especially with Elon Musk re-involvement, 100% focus on Tesla. He's not in Doge. He's out of the government agency that he was directing in a way. That's what investors really didn't like. That's what we saw this just intense downside move from the highs of 460 to around 200, right? But now that he has regained I guess investors control and I guess leadership again in Tesla, investors are feeling more confident. And that's what we're seeing this bullish move as well, which is the fundamentals supporting the technicals, right? IBIT is looking good overall. It's set for finding support here, set for the upside curl and get to that final price target of $72 on IBIT right there. It's looking quite nice. Like I said, Palantir again is really bullish. I like the name as well. Generally the majority of the names here that I have on my watch list are pretty much all bullish. Like I dictated that there's still more upside on these names. Netflix is one of my best trades here for the year, I guess 2025. We entered at around 900, and yeah, we're starting to sell a little bit here, but that was an absolutely amazing trade. One of my best, probably the best trade of this year. Amazon is also setting up a little bit here, kind of showing a little bit there. But what's other name? Oh, Apple, showing some signs, showing some signs here of VWAP there. But yeah, it's mostly IBIT, right? Mostly IBIT is seeing the upward momentum. Let's see now, pulling back towards NVIDIA. There it is. It pulled back, so this could be the chance to get in the name, you know, it looks like it's catching a breather. It's a VWAP. Okay, there it is. So it's catching up. Hopefully it pulls back to 140 around the average price of VWAP, so we can start averaging again into the position. So let's see, you guys noticed, right, that we're pulling back, right? So one thing we can do here is simply wait for either a pullback towards intraday VWAP 140 and around 71, or at the breakout VWAP here that we saw, which is 140.94. It's a little bit higher, which I firmly believe maybe we won't get to the intraday VWAP. We'll probably get to this one, as the momentum is pretty strong. The volume is doing quite well, actually. I'm surprised. We're doing 115 million in volume, and seeing this explosive move, and on average 30-day volume on average is 221 million. So it's pretty nice to see, I guess. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, it looks like we are slowly starting to find some support on this trend. We're still bullish above the 50, all that into the position. Looks like we're going to, so we are seeing a bounce now in the name, which is quite nice. But I would like to enter you know, into my position again, averaging at around this price level. Obviously it's not going to be to the point, like to the T, but you know, I'm really strict on my price entries and ads, I guess, like my DCAs overall. So yeah, it's looking good, actually. I think we might have to average in right now. Let's see. So we'll average in, add it to the position. Boom. Alright, looks like we added again into the position. It's not looking too bad. Probably take half of our position, take it out at around 142 right here, and leave the rest to run towards the next pivot point around 142. So I'll take half here in my position and take the full amount at 142. So yeah, it's looking good. Okay, looking good. But yeah, like I said, guys, if you guys want me to do a deeper analysis on a stock you guys have been looking out on, you know, whether it be regardless of the sector, doesn't matter. It can be you know, with AI, a name like a small cap name, right? Just feel free to drop it down in the comments, and I can make a specialized video on that, have price targets, and give my overall analysis on the name, and you know, can help you guys out if you guys so please. So yeah, that's my spiel. Let's see, market's doing good, quite well. We're above VWAP. Not bad, not bad. Let's see, plotting that. Yeah, found support exactly right there. Like, it's like no joke, exactly at that handoff anchored VWAP. We found support 526. Could have been an ad right there. You know, it's quite nice to see that confluence forming. Let's see, Meta on the 5 minutes, just consolidating, and this one is pretty confusing. You know, I was looking to, you know, trade Meta instead of NVIDIA here, because you know, it was with the one with the biggest news, right? They had a big investment in nuclear energy, right? And I think it was like starting in 2027, right? You know, really big news, and now it's just flat. Like, it's like as if the news had no effect on the stock price, which is, you know, quite surprising. I thought it would have some type of you know, reaction, you know, to the upside, or you know, if investors didn't like it, at least to the downside. But I guess not, right? Let's see, Google. How's Google looking? Not bad. It's above the VWAP, but when a stock is below the 50 EMA, generally sellers are in control. So I wouldn't be looking to go long this name at all. We'll probably find resistance at somewhere around here. Probably what we will see is something like this. So probably have a candle. We'll break above it. People think it's going to be a breakout long, and then we end up like they end up getting tricked, and we see a candle that with it. Oh shoot. We see a candle with one of these like intense wicks, right? Pretty much like one of these candles like that with like intense wicks. So that's maybe what we will see. But yeah, I generally don't like to be long names that are below their 50 MA. It just shows that the sellers are in control, and we like to give that benefit of the doubt to those individuals. Softy, it's bullish, but we're above the 50, but it's just flat. It's in a range. It's pretty consolidative. Pretty good for range traders, but not so good for momentum traders, right? You probably would have been stopped out a lot of times. Maybe you would have gone long here at the break of the VWAP and stop loss here, and you would have got triggered, only to just see it recuperate above your exit level. Yeah. Apple, it's bullish as well, but it's still pretty consolidated. Look at these wicks, right? Just show you that the range is present. There's people that are it comes here, they short it, comes here, they buy it, and now we're seeing some selling. I mean, look at that candle. We had buyers picking it up strongly, but then sellers came in pretty aggressively, just bringing the price down a little bit lower right there. So yeah, I'm not interested in that name right now. Amazon as well, in a trend. Pretty consolidative. Not liking the volume is pretty low. The average volume is, let's see, here's average 30-day volume has been around 43 million, and we're only doing like 12 million. So not sufficient. Netflix is Netflix is looking. This is nice. Getting above VWAP now, huh? So yeah, this would be a long setup here, but it's looking long. It's looking long, looking pretty good, but we're still involved in NVIDIA, right? So, but yeah, it's looking long, right? This is kind of like a reversal where we have our VWAP, and there's been sellers, we come and then we sell, and then we come up and we sell a little bit, but slowly the buyers have been gaining control. Higher low, then a little bit of higher low, and then we had that intense break. This is really seeing a lot of bullishness here. Pretty surprised. I thought we would have maybe some pullback towards VWAP. Kind of thought we would have like a retest, and then something like this, right? But it looks like the buyers are not playing any games. They want to want this thing to keep going higher. Let's see, IBIT. Yeah, I found some resistance. Palantir. This thing's a mess. This thing's a mess right now. Intraday, just wicking a lot of people. It's not seeing the expected moves that Palantir generally does give. NVIDIA's looking good. There it is. It's bounced off. Pulled back a little bit, but now it's starting to see that solid momentum. I firmly believe, like I said, it can achieve the $142 level around there. But yeah, this name is pretty strong. I'm not gonna lie. Let's see, CoreWeave, still bullish. Oh, looks like it's starting to maybe pull back. Maybe pull back to this level right here of 138. Right here. Such a strong move, up 17.5% on the day. That's absolutely amazing. Really strong name. Tesla, finally above the 350. Jesus, we were, I think we were fighting that level, quite intensely, and it's looking quite well now on the daily, man. Looking good. Yeah, like I said, it's like it's setting up. We're finding some support here on Tesla on the daily. This is like the breakout. Let me take this off. This is the breakout anchored VWAP. We're measuring the new momentum, right? Because obviously buyers came in. We had a nice gap up right here above this area of resistance. So it's important to measure those buyers. And okay, we had a strong bid, we came back, pulled down, and I found support exactly at that breakout anchored VWAP, and now saw some support. We're pulling back to it, and now we're seeing support again, and we're seeing a bounce. Right, this is looking pretty similar, like I said, to NVIDIA. Well, we're right. So the breakout, we had a nice move. We pulled back. Buyers came in. They saw the opportunity. They bought at support. Again, we pulled back, and we're finding support. Now we're starting to see that upward curl right on NVIDIA. And like I said, price targets of 194 on NVIDIA, looking quite nice. CoreWeave looking good. Bitcoin is looking extraordinary. Let's see. Yeah, we'll have to see. Let's see. I think by next Monday we'll know for sure if Bitcoin is setting up properly. Still a lot of time. This thing here as well, G Vernova's, aerospace. Oh my god, absolutely monster. This is obviously programmed buying, like just look at that steady upwards move, steady upwards move. And this thing was doing quite well, regardless of the Trump tariffs and all the negative that came and impacted the majority of stocks, right? We did come back, but we found support there quite well. Same. Absolutely amazing, slow and steady to the upside. These names are quite nice to have a swing trade on, right? Let's see. Yeah, and like I said, guys, going back to the news and what's been happening, here we have on our official blog here, our newsletter. You guys can sign up for free, by the way, and get before the market opens a detailed summary of the news that's moving the market, and some of the stocks that are in move and that I believe have are nice day trades and are just setting up overall. So for example, here we had economic data to start off with, right? We include that. We had the important number of JOLTS job openings, which the forecast was around 7.05 million, and it came in higher, right? Which is pretty bullish, and I think that's what sustained this move overall on the Nasdaq, especially. It kind of helped uplift these names, right? Because there's been a lot of doubt between investors and how's the economy going to be looking, is it going to be impacted, unemployment, etc. But yeah, JOLTS job openings came in higher, still showing the strength that exists in the labor market. And factory orders, I believe, came in a little bit lower, but month over month. But yeah, that was probably the most important number that we had today, the JOLTS job openings, which came in positive, and which is why I believe we're seeing this nice move in the overall market as soon as it came out, I think at 7 a.m. So quite nice to see, and it's important to be up to date with these, everything, economic data, and any events that could affect the market, especially Fed speakers. And it looks like we do have some Fed speakers today. It's like someone about to speak in around 30 minutes. Quite nice. We also give a little bit of an overview of the stocks and the overall the futures. For example, we had the ES right down that 0.2. It wasn't too much. The Nasdaq 100 down. It was flat. It wasn't too bad. But then we include the main headlines here, right? So we had the OECD slashing the US GDP forecast, predicting just 1.6% growth in 2025 and 1.5% growth in 2026, blaming the Trump era tariffs for dampening investment and confidence globally. And honestly, that's pretty bad news, right? As we know, generally the economy strives to grow at 3%. That's the ideal 3% growth rate. But it's always we're seeing a slowdown. It came in with the recent GDP contraction that we had. I think it was negative growth, negative 0.2%. So yeah, and it's just a matter of time before we see Q2 results, and it's gonna show a little bit of that slowdown we're seeing, right? So yeah, pretty much. And also we have the potential Trump Xi call that's supposed to be happening, and markets are looking out for, kind of, see there's some resolve, and yeah, pretty much between the tariffs. Also, China's manufacturing slump, that's not good. May factory activity contracted sharply, marking the worst reading since 2022. Yeah. Let me here include the trade of the day, which in this case Palantir Technologies. It's looking quite well on the daily. And yeah, we include the trade of the day, and we also include reasoning and the fundamentals, the news that are potentially moving the stock. For example, Palantir is continuing to impress as its artificial intelligence platform becomes a powerful growth catalyst, right? Including some highlights here, with the U.S. commercial revenue up 71% year over year. That's astonishing growth. And what really surprised me here was it surpassed the $1 billion run rate. Just all these numbers are just astonishing, man. They're really bullish for the company, right? And like I said, this interactive chart, allows you guys to, be up to date with the news, and be able to form your guys' thesis, analyze the markets while you guys are, checking out the news. For example, you guys can, check other names like NVIDIA, and, you guys can go to any time frame. You guys can plot, some EMAs, do your analysis here, and get a better general overview, and also be up to date with the news that are moving the market. So I highly recommend. I use it, right? I use it all the time, and it's just a tool that's quite important to have on your toolbox in order to be able to understand why the market moves on certain days, and any causes that may move the market, right? And yeah, overall a little bit of a sum up here of corporate movers that we had, and this was a Meta that I included, right? For example, Constellation Energy, was up 12% pre-market after announcing a 20-year nuclear power deal with Meta starting in 2027 to support the AI-driven energy needs. Yeah, which is what I said, and I don't know why Meta's so flat, right? It's just, I think it's a nice deal, beautiful deal. So yeah, and overall that's the move there. But yeah, you guys can sign up for it absolutely free. Just gotta sign up for the newsletter, and you get this every day before the market opens. You guys are up to date with the overall market move. So moving back to the market, NVIDIA still positive, up 3% on the day. Bitcoin, not bad, we're up 0.6%. Even though we're kind of pulling back a little bit here. But yeah, there's been a lot of sector rotation now, with tariffs and the implementation, that funds are, there's money moves that are trying to kind of hedge, or kind of still see overperformance regardless of the news. Currently what we've been seeing here is checking my notes here, is we've been seeing some pretty intense moves, right? So the top 3 performers that we saw were XLY, consumer discretionary. Number 2, XLK, which is the technology sector, or it's like a little ETF here. And XLI, which is the industrials, coming in at 3rd. XLY was up 5.65%. The XLK was up 5.29%, and XLI up 4.63%, right? And we analyzed this thoroughly. We analyzed the names that were kind of within those, ETFs, and we came with the conclusion, right, that I firmly believe that since most tech names have been bought up, most of the time we've been seeing this nice buy in tech names overall. We will see some selling in tech names in order to be able to buy some industrials and defensive names, as that is what is being caused by the current tariffs. And funds are going to be taking profits off tech from this recent bounce, and moving them towards industrials, where most of these companies will be greatly benefited. And as well, I believe that the funds are going to have exposure to tech, but it will be reduced, although it's still going to be there. And it's going to be reduced in order to take out the factor of uncertainty, right? To have that off the table. So that is what I believe is currently happening in the market. It's kind of that rotation that we're seeing a little bit less in technology and more in there's been an increase in from investors and the consumers. There's been more of an interest from the consumer, right? Especially following the strength in the labor market that we currently saw with jolts, right? Apple, not bad. It's pretty bearish. Not looking long on that name. Amazon looking pretty good. Netflix looking pretty strong. This is a name that I previously stated to you guys that was able to achieve the 1200. Amazing names. Let's see, now going back to NVIDIA on the 5-minute. Let's see. Yeah, it's still pulling back a little bit, but on the day, it's pretty nice. Up 3%, showing the strength that it's present in this name here. Let's see. Moving that there. Still pretty good. Video still holding quite strong on the day. Let's see. We're pulling back a little bit. Okay. Let's see overall NASDAQ up 0.78. Still pretty bullish. Right, using VWAP here. Average price of entry around 525 for the market participants. Not bad. How about SPY? Exactly the same, right? And like we said, right, when the price does fall below VWAP, traders come up and buy below the VWAP as they're getting a more of a discount in a way, right? They're getting a best price, right? If I were looking to be long, take a moment and think about this, right? If you were looking long on a name, would you prefer to be long at this area, 594, or prefer to be long around here? Obviously, it's going to be 593 around that level, because you're going to be able to capture most of the move, and you're also going to be able to reduce your risk and have a proper risk management of your trade, and not just entering and not having proper risk management, which is always job number one, right? It doesn't matter how much you make. If you lose it immediately, if you you know, you're able to gain, you know, nice 2-3 trades, but in one trade you lose what you gain in those 3 trades, then what's the whole point, right? So risk management should be probably the most important aspect of the trading strategy that you guys, you know, choose to implement here, right? And yeah, NVIDIA is still pulling back, but you know, if we do break below VWAP, I'll look to sell the entirety of the position that I currently have. It's not too bad. We're up a little bit more than $1 here on this position. It's not too bad, but I do like how the 50 EMA is slowly starting to catch up, and may form some confluence here of levels around there. So it's not looking too bad. It's looking pretty good right there. See some one of the names that I had a lot of interest in for a swing trade, I believe, was RCL, and that's going to be Royal Caribbean, and this name is absolutely amazing on the daily. This is why I'm mentioning to you guys this name, because just look at this name. We are above the 50. It's setting up for a nice upwards move, a nice upwards trend. We're above the 50 ever since earnings. Wow, earnings came in pretty strong. Let's see. Okay, they beat on EPS, but they missed on revenue. Okay, but the reason as to why I was looking long on this name is because we are above the swing high anchored VWAP, like I said. Here on the name, we're above the 50, and we're also seeing here, for example, this shift, this nice upward curl, right? You know, we pulled back, right? We pulled back, had a nice move, but then we found support exactly at the breakout anchored VWAP. And what does that show us? That the buyers were intense. They picked up the price there. We pulled back, found support. They got a discount, and now we're seeing the continued momentum. The volume has also been mostly green, right? We're seeing also an increase in the volume, especially yesterday. We had a lot of volume. Actually, it was on Friday, May 30th. But yeah, this name is setting up quite strongly. I'm personally long this name. And yeah, my price targets for this name are, I believe, 320 right here, and I believe it's barely starting. Like, it's barely starting to set up properly. So yeah, price targets of 340 and 460 are going to be our price targets here for this name for RCL, Royal Caribbean Cruises. So that's a name for you guys to check out. It's looking quite well, and just mark my words, this name is going to be one of the big movers here, right? Fundamentals are adding it, supporting it, and technicals are now becoming in alignment with those fundamentals. Let's see, going back to our stocks here, CoreWeave. Actually, we're on the daily. CoreWeave, man, now it's, Jesus, it's so strong. So strong of a name. You could just honestly buy anywhere on this name and still be like well in the money. You know, you could have bought here at the break of VWAP, at the pullback at VWAP, at the bounce after VWAP around 133, and you still be in the money. You know, if you were along 133, you're up $11. Absolutely amazing. This name is something else. This is on steroids. Absolutely amazing name. It's like, no way. Yeah, I hasn't even pulled back once. 50 EMA is still above it. Incredible name. 50 EMA, bullish. Saw buyers again. Intense volume. Candle right here, showing the continuation of the upside. Amazing. See, back at Tesla, there it is, starting an uptrend now. We're above the 350, which is nice to see. Let's go. Let's see, AMD is not too bad as well. This name is starting to bid up quite well. Let's check on Palantir. Jesus, this name is horrible. Absolutely horrible on the day. It's nothing, just waking people out. You know, if you were long here, you decide to go long above the break here of this candle above VWAP, you would have been probably had a stop loss around here somewhere. Would have got, stopped out, then it went up, and then stopped out again, and then here, yeah, it's just a mess. We're not seeing not like trend. Like this is nice, right? This is what we want to see, this trend structure compared to Palantir, which isn't seeing that. AMD, Tesla, right? All these names are just, seeing a nice trend, right? And it's what we like to see overall on the trend structure right here. So you go back to NVIDIA. Okay. Yeah, we're just, digesting. This is kind of like a time correction here, right? So, we had nice explosive moves at the beginning of the day, right? The candle volume here is extremely high, and came in quite well. But now we're starting to pull back, and we're just pretty much consolidating, right? There's nothing to be afraid of. We're not bearish on the name or anything like that, right? We're just kind of seeing a little bit of some consolidation, right? If we use that here, we're seeing this price like this, just consolidating. Buyers slowly starting to average into their prices again, and it's kind of like a trampoline, right? We bounced up, right? Now it's time to fall back and bounce off again, right? So this would be our support around this area. So where buyers are coming in, sellers came in here. Probably some sellers trying to go against the trend. I don't know why. It just goes against the overall laws of nature, right? Simply an object in motion will remain in motion until there's opposing force. But right now there's no opposing force to go against this overall. But yeah, some profit taking. Now we're starting to accumulate for the big leg higher. So yeah, NVIDIA is still bullish, looking long on the name. And yeah, I'll leave you guys at that. And like I said, feel free to drop in the comments any of the names that you guys would like me to analyze and go further, possibly do a video analyzing that name, so you guys can get a little bit more of an insight, and also the fundamentals that are moving the name. And if the fundamentals are matching with the technicals, then it's going to be an A+ setup. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys tomorrow.